On Reddit, some of the most intense controversies exist only as ghosts. The original post is gone, scrubbed by filters, leaving behind nothing but the reactions of those who saw it first. This specific thread pulled in 23,000 upvotes before it vanished. To understand what happened, we have to sift through the 2,000 remaining comments, reconstructing a massive family fallout from the fragments left in the wake. It began with a rare win for any young family, landing a spot at a highly rated professional daycare for their daughter. But the sheer scale of the surviving thread suggests that what happened inside that daycare wasn't a simple misunderstanding. The internet's reaction acts as a magnifying glass for a conflict that was clearly far more destructive than a typical parenting disagreement. The tension started the moment the mother realized that Sam, the daycare provider she had praised for weeks, was actually a man. Her response was immediate. She began a campaign of unsounded, sexist harassment, filing dishonest complaints with the facility in an attempt to have Sam removed from his job. The daycare management didn't hesitate. To protect their employee from further harassment, they issued a permanent ban, effectively firing the family as clients. This ban triggered a logistical crisis. The only other available option is miles away, adding a grueling 45-minute extra commute to every single morning. The husband refused to absorb the cost of his wife's actions. He told her since she got them banned, she would be the one doing the driving. She balked, insisting her own work schedule was too important to be disrupted. The household is now at a standstill. It is no longer just a debate about driving duties, but a question of who should bear the physical and emotional burden of a choice only one of them made. As the story hit the front page, thousands of commenters stepped in to act as a decentralized jury, weighing the wife's fears against the reality of modern childcare. Childcare workers in the thread were the first to speak out, describing the constant, low-level suspicion men face in the industry and how a single dishonest complaint like this can end a career overnight. But then, several users pointed out a specific irony in the mother's logic regarding the safety of her child. This chart highlights the veya often cited in these discussions. A child is statistically far more likely to face harm from a family member or a close acquaintance than from a licensed, background-checked professional like Sam. By letting a baseless bias dictate her actions, the mother didn't actually make her daughter safer. She simply traded a stable, high-quality environment for a chaotic logistical mess. As the thread grew, the tone sharpened. The users weren't just debating childcare anymore. They were looking at the psychology of the mother herself. The influx of comments became so intense that moderators triggered poo mode, short for proctologist's only orifice. This restricts the conversation to only the most vetted, long-term members of the community to prevent the thread from spiraling out of control. One commenter noted that the wife's refusal to change her schedule was irrelevant. By getting them banned, she had already forcibly changed the family's reality. The only question left was how much more of the fallout she expected her husband to carry. Others focused on the ethical weight of her complaints. She wasn't just being protective. She was willing to use a person's livelihood as a pawn to satisfy her own discomfort with Sam's gender. This led to a wave of users advising the husband to seek counseling. They argue that a partner who lies to authorities to get their way is a partner who has fundamentally compromised the trust in the marriage. The community's final assessment was grim. They concluded that her behavior wasn't just a simple lapse in judgment, but a demonstration of volatility that could eventually jeopardize the family's access to any public resource. The final verdict from the internet was a resounding NTA, not the asshole, for the husband. This story serves as a case study in accountability. True accountability means absorbing the logistical friction caused by your own errors. The mother tried to outsource the consequences of her actions, wanting the safety of a new daycare without paying for it in time or effort. By standing his ground, the husband forced the cost of the paranoia back onto the person who generated it. But the most significant action came from the daycare itself. In an industry where the customer is always right, the management chose the dignity and safety of their staff over a tuition check. When you weaponize baseless fear against other people's lives, you eventually run out of allies. And in this case, That loss of trust is measured in every extra mile the mother now has to drive alone.